Welcome! I am Sarah, here to do some yoga with you today. Thank you so much for being here. This practice is inspired by the Book of Mormon, and it's chapters 43 through 52 in Alma, which is in sync with the Come Follow Me manual curriculum throughout the year. So as I stepped into reading these chapters, I chuckled a little bit because the chapters focus a lot on fighting and disagreements and kind of war type scenarios through a lot of the chapters. And I thought, it doesn't feel very unifying with yoga. But as I dug a little deeper, I found so much wisdom within these, and the wisdom that I'm using to bring to this practice today from those verses is two words, actually. The first is to prepare, and the second is to rebuild. Because no matter what phase or chapter or war we might be struggling with on our own, choosing to show up with a perspective of preparation and choosing to keep going and rebuilding are beautiful tools that the Lord offers us to just keep trying again and again and again. So I'm bringing those thoughts and insights into today. The focus of the practice is with those insights, but then also creating stability, and particularly in those hips. So we'll do a little bit of movement, a little bit of stability, and we'll meditate. Let's begin. Now, if you've been with me before, you know that starting in that easy seated is a beautiful place to begin, and we just avoid that crossed foot place. So we're not crisscross applesauce, but we're balancing out those hips nice and easy, lengthening through the spine, taking the hands to either knee, and let's just find the breath today. Notice for a moment, and maybe take your hand where you feel the breath right now. Is it up in the chest? Is it in the throat? Just notice where it's at right now. And then let's, with intention, bring the breath down into the belly using that diaphragm. So we're going to inhale. The belly actually, with that inhale, pulls away from the spine. So we feel that belly press into the palm. We inhale, we feel the ribs expand. We inhale, we feel the chest open, and then we exhale from the chest, the ribs back into the belly. Using lots more of that love. Inhale from the belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling from the chest, the ribs back into the belly. And the breath can be such a powerful cleansing tool to really prepare our bodies to slow down, and to get really present in this moment. So as you're breathing, take a moment, just listen to your surroundings, just be aware of them. Don't judge them or expect them to be anything different than they are. Just notice them. All right, then close those eyes and take an inventory inside. What do you notice inside the body? Any feelings, sensations in the body? Feelings and emotions are physical sensations in the body, so just notice. Maybe put a hand where you might be feeling any type of emotion right now. Just notice that it's there. Don't try to change it or move away from it. So prepare, when we think of that word, we're also thinking about other ways that word has meaning. One meaning is to make ready. Another meaning is to create in advance. So let's take a moment and just gather perspective. Circle sweeping those arms. Pulling those hands into the heart center and remind ourselves of unchanging truths. Saying these in first person to yourself as I say them out loud. My identity is divine. My worth is unchanging. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I am a daughter of God. I am loved unconditionally. Taking that perspective shift away from the everyday, pulling ourselves away from those weeds and coming back to those truths, breathing them in. We might notice we hear one of those truths and we may not agree with it. Just notice. Loosen that story, loosen that grip, and come back to that purpose of uniting the heart with the mind and recognizing with awareness the truth is unchanging. Release and open up those palms towards the sky. Interlace the fingers behind you, drawing those wrists together, chest expansion, gazing up, up, up. And then exhale, release, wrap your arms, give yourself a big hug. Opening up those arms, interlacing those fingers again behind, chest expansion, gazing up. And then exhaling, opposite arm comes in front, giving yourself a hug, wrapping fingertips around. From here, taking those hands and placing them onto the mat, we'll adjust our bodies to all fours. Wide fingertips, flattening those feet, inhaling long through the spine, and then exhale as we round through the spine, curl the toes under. Inhaling, flatten those feet, finding cow. Exhale, rounding the spine, curling the toes under, feeling cat. Inhaling, releasing, back through cow. And one more time. Exhaling, feeling that cat. Inhaling, back into cow. Beautiful. Now we're centering up the body and we're just gazing over the shoulder, drawing that hip towards the shoulder. So we just feel your left side body close and the right side body extend. And then we come around to the other side, engaging the right side body, opening up through the left. Beautiful. And then straightening back up, stretching ourselves slightly forward, drawing those hips now in front of the knees, a nice kneeling plank, engaging through the belly, squeezing the elbows to the sides of the body and lowering all the way down. Lifting up, gentle cobra. Exhale, we press the palms in, lift the hips, and release back into child's pose. Inhaling towards that kneeling plank. Exhaling down. Inhaling cobra. Exhaling belly and hip lift. Pressing back. Staying with that breath. One breath per movement. Inhaling. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling cobra. and exhaling back into child's pose for just a moment. And then lifting those hips, centering back into the tabletop position, curling the toes under, knees coming off, floating table, deep knee bend, exhale, release back, tiger dog. Inhaling, floating table, exhale, tiger dog. Inhaling, floating table, exhale, tiger dog. And then letting those legs and palms extend into downward facing dog, curling, or I should say lifting and lowering through those heels. Now noticing in downward facing dog, oftentimes, especially when we're tight initially, our back wants to round or fall out of alignment. So take just a moment with those feet planted. It's okay to let those knees bend as much as they need. And then allow the spine to lengthen so that our ears come right between the arms. We feel those shoulders draw down and back, wide palms. If we gaze up, those wrinkles in our wrists are removed, and we have a nice long length in our spine, no matter how much those knees bend or those heels lift off of the floor. As we lengthen and extend, especially as the body gets more warm, we'll notice an ability to extend those legs a little bit more. But just stay in that space, breathing through those sensations and feeling the heart expand and open. Yeah, so often it wants to draw and pull itself closed. Take a moment to prepare the heart. Open. We might notice a tightness or a heaviness surrounding the heart, and it might be there for good reason. Don't judge or criticize those heavy and hard feelings that come within this human experience, but remembering that we too can soften. Beautiful. Now shifting forward to a toe plank. Circling and letting that blood flow regenerate itself back. That was a nice inversion where we had the head below the heart. Noticing on that stability today, engaging through the body, engaging from fingertip to toes. From here, we again lift those hips back and we just walk or hop those feet towards the hands. If we're walking, we're just stepping 1 foot at a time. If we're hopping, we take a gentle knee bend, gaze towards those palms, lift through the belly, and travel ourselves forward. Extending through the legs, toe heeling those feet together, inhaling half lift, exhale forward fold, inhaling coming all the way up and having a seat in chair. I'm turning so you can see a front perspective of this. But as we're sitting in chair, taking in that space, we're working in some stability today, which means engaging through the core and the belly, and then taking your right leg and drawing it away and pulling it back in. We'll do this for 9 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Beautiful. Feel those sensations. Beautiful. Halfway there. Breathing in that space. Beautiful. Now coming back to both feet, holding that chair stability. Maybe we take those hands heart center, and then we lift the toes, lift the heels. Lift the toes, lift the heels. Using that fluid space, feeling that stability we're creating. thinking about what stability we can create, even in all the unsteadiness and unknowns that surround us. Regardless of circumstances, what stability can we create from within? Could it be our reactions? Choosing to respond, circle sweep up, exhale, forward fold, instead of react. Preparing our breath. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping everything all the way back up. Beautiful. And for just a moment, lifting that right leg again, tree pose. Again, finding some stability as that hip opens. This standing hip oftentimes wants to sink or look a bit like a sassy teenager. We're gonna pull and lift that hip, beautiful, as if it was extending branches into the sky. Some of us might like connecting that tree above the knee, just being careful that we never let that foot rest on the actual knee joint. It's always just below or just above. Beautiful, and then release, circle sweep the arms, back into chair. Resting the hands at heart center, or maybe we like resting them on the tops of our thighs. This time the left leg. We inhale away, exhale, bring it back in. Inhale and exhale. Feeling those sensations come up in the body and just breathing through them. Beautiful. Coming back into the chair, both feet nice and steady, and we lift the heels, lift those toes and lift the heels. Lift the toes, lift the heels. Rocking forward and back, noticing that even amidst movement, we can prepare ourselves for stability. Circle sweep everything up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping those arms all the way up, shifting the weight into the right leg, lifting your left leg. Tree pose. Again, checking in with that sinking hip, driving it up, grounding and feeling that space, maybe even taking those hands overhead or wherever they feel good today. Create that space in the breath that feels fluid for your body. Rebuild on the unsteadiness. Just come right back up again. Beautiful. Release everything down. And if you're not already there, come to the top of your mat, sweeping everything up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step both feet back to plank. Lower down, no more than halfway, and then lift yourself forward and up to upward facing dog. Exhale, lift those hips and reach back. Downward facing dog. From here, we bend those knees to a tabletop position and we shift ourselves to a side lying position, facing that side body. So we're stacking the hips straight up, we're stacking the shoulders straight up. If you're facing me like a mirror, your right leg will be lifted and your left leg will be on the earth. But in this space, we're going to find strength and stability through the body. So we first engage through the abdominal region. And our belly breath still expands forward and back, but we're creating space. So instead of relaxing and releasing into the earth, we're creating space and stability, squeezing through that body. Top leg is lifting and it stays parallel. And we lift that leg to a place that feels stabilizing and strengthening. The lower leg is engaged, and we breathe through these sensations, inhaling and exhaling. We just hold that space. Beautiful. Recognizing that in this preparation, in this building of coming into these fine spaces and places of those hips, we create stability and strength throughout the body. Inhaling and exhaling. Beautiful. And then lower down, just let everything release. Inhaling back up. Engaging those legs. Feeling that lifting stability. Maybe it comes a little bit higher, maybe it comes a little bit lower. But we're breathing in that space. Now take a moment and notice as we breathe in this stability, what kind of tension is the neck and head holding on to? Are the neck muscles squeezing super tight? And could we release that tightness? The engaging, tightening energy we want is in those hips, but then we're creating a softening through those necks, heads, maybe even those face muscles, letting them relax. And releasing back down. And one last time, we inhale, engaging through the belly, lifting through that hip. Feeling that strength and stability. And maybe we even take our breath with just a little bit of stability, and we let that top leg gently rock forward and back. Small in the movement, but it's just taking itself forward and back, forward and back. Beautiful. We hold the leg, not the breath. Keep breathing. And then releasing everything down, rotating onto those backs and lifting ourselves up into a bridge position. Again, focusing on stability today. So we begin with curling that tailbone under. We feel all of the spine resting on the mat. Heels are as close to those glutes as our body will comfortably allow. And then we begin by lifting one vertebrae at a time up towards the sky. Your right leg will lift again. Lifting your right leg, and maybe it comes off 1/2 inch, and that's fine. Maybe it lifts up a little bit higher and holds, and maybe it lifts up, heel of the foot reaching towards the sky. But we're pressing those palms towards the earth and lifting in those hips, just staying in that space of stability. Noticing what comes up, particularly when we're used to moving through poses and positions, that when we step into holding them, what comes up in the mind? And releasing down, we lift the heels lower and lift. So we bring them up and lower down. Bringing them up, lower them down. 2 more times. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Same leg reaching up towards the sky. Wherever the sky is for you, it will meet you right where you are. Inhaling and exhaling. Might be some wobbling. It's all the process of rebuilding, reconnecting those places and spaces from within. The next exhale, lower down. And then ever so gently pull those knees in towards the chest for just a moment, releasing anything that might feel tight through the back, possibly rocking from side to side. And beautiful. From here, we rotate onto that side body again. We continue the rotation to that plank position, inhaling and exhaling through the nose, lowering no more than halfway, shifting forward, upward facing dog, and releasing back, downward facing dog. One more breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And then bending those knees, extending the legs out, and coming down to a side lying position, working on the opposite side. So if you're mirroring me, you'll now have your left leg on top. And again, that body immediately kind of just melts itself into the earth. Let's use that stability, strengthening that we have, create space, engage, lengthen, and then lift. And we find that place where we lift enough that it feels like a challenge. It feels like work, but there's no sharp pinches, pressures, or pains. Beautiful. And then we can play with that arm. Again, keeping it here for support. Maybe we like extending, and maybe we want to breathe with the arm extended towards the sky. Continuing to breathe in those sensations as we're holding this space. And then releasing everything back down with that exhale. Beautiful. Inhaling, engaging through the belly, lifting that leg straight up, parallel to the other foot, and then extending from there. Coming to that point in place again where that stabilizing hip pocket is engaged. It feels like work. Oftentimes when we're working in preparation, each step and space that we take, even if it's small, feels like work, that rebuilding process. Yet, when we stay constant in that rebuilding, that strengthening preparation process, it's what prepares us to make those things that might feel weak become strong. And release with that exhale all the way down. One last time, lifting that leg nice and high, engaging the lower leg. Beautiful. And then maybe we draw that top leg ever so slightly forward and back. Very, very gentle. Not a rocking sensation, but just a small movement through that top leg. Nice fire of energy happening through that outer side of the hip. Breathing in those sensations. And releasing everything back down. Coming on to the back. Again, working your same leg. We process the body, rotating that spine, lifting up those hips and drawing your left leg into the sky. We may like flexing and pointing that toe. We might just like holding it. And then releasing everything back down. for just a moment. Staying up in that hip, a bridge, I almost forgot. The heel lift and lower right here. Beautiful. And then from here, shifting again that weight into your right leg, lifting the left leg up into the sky. Last time. Extending, maybe we even feel those hips, those hearts open just a little bit more. Extending and feeling that space. And then bringing everything back down. Pulling the knees into the chest. Softening the space to the lower back. From here, we take that leg over and find ourselves in a reclining eagle position. So we've got your left leg over the right, and we can interlace and grab from that lower backside of the hamstring of the right leg. Deeper sensation, we might extend the leg completely. But as much as we're pulling those legs towards us, we're grounding and rooting that tailbone in towards the earth. So we're avoiding that curl and tuck, but we're keeping it nice and flat. And from here we release. Grab the outer edges of the legs, possibly to the ankles, possibly the outer edges of the feet, and we find happy baby. Maybe even a gentle rocking from one side to the other. Maybe there's stillness. And then we take, bending the right leg, bringing it above the left again, finding that connection to the lower part of the hamstring, possibly extending the leg. Grounding that back into the earth. And just feeling your breath, recognizing the sensations. And releasing happy baby one last time from the outer edges of the legs, maybe the ankles, maybe the outer edges of the feet. From here, let your feet travel back down towards the earth. Let those palms open up towards the sky. The feet gently roll open. And come to that final Shavasana, or relaxation for today. Releasing the shoulders away from the ears. And we create a softness throughout the body, relaxing any of those muscles that might feel tight. And we'll do that by engaging all of the muscles first. So just feel a big squeeze throughout the whole body. Tight, 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 and then release. One more time, a big squeeze, engaging all the muscles in the body, and then let them release. Feeling that connection between you and the earth deepen. Almost as if the air around you is becoming heavier, and it's gently pressing you closer towards the earth. That air surrounding you feels like a soft blanket, and that heaviness is grounding you back into this space and place. And as you close your eyes and come into these final moments of relaxation, I'll guide you through a meditation. Coming back to that word, prepare. And take a moment to think about, in this next few weeks or month, maybe even this next time where you notice that there might be some changes or a shift in routine you're approaching. Some of us, it's going back to school. Some of us, it could be shifts and changes with work or everyday life. But meditate on what it is that's coming. Just bring that into the awareness. And then take a moment to visualize what you want to build in that space. And it's not a to-do list. It's not a bunch of things to hurry and get done beforehand, or hurry and get done once it begins. But instead, focus on a perspective. If you could choose, what feeling would you choose to bring with you in these next few weeks? What attribute would help you best? If you were to choose just one Christ-like attribute, which one would you want to walk with you? What might you need to let go of in order to bring what it is that you want to create intentionally with you? Could there be expectations, competitions, or judgments that feel so justified to hold on to? Yet if we soften and with humility allow those to release, we actually free up space to create. We step away from those weeds and we lift ourselves to that higher perspective. Now, for most of us, our minds and thoughts will bounce back and forth between both worlds of what they want to hold on to and keep, even if it does not serve us. And the hope, or what it is that we want to create, feels too far and too unattainable in our worlds, in our reality. But that power to prepare, that stability and place, we create from within. Not in a big miraculous leap, but in small steps. Just taking it out and doing the next thing. Noticing what does not serve and what holds us back. And instead of gripping it so tightly, softening that grip, softening that space around the heart. And maybe taking a risk. Not a risk in the sense of something bold, but the risk in something small. A risk in saying something yes, maybe when we often say no. Maybe taking a risk in choosing to slow down and drawing inward for preparation rather than moving full steam ahead externally. Listen for that soft space of the heart. What is it telling the mind? And then take a moment to thank it for remembering and reminding you that it is with you. You have that knowledge and space to create, to prepare, to rebuild and restore. And may that preparing and rebuilding offer the exact growth, the exact learning that the journey is uniquely made for you. Drawing those thumbs across the fingertips, softly bending the knees and wiggling the toes, and working yourself to a side-lying position, gradually coming up to a seated position, stacking those shoulders over the hips, heads over the shoulders, noticing the length in the spine. Maybe it feels a little bit longer after today's practice. Gathering those hearts at the center. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. Namaste. And my mindful invitation in this upcoming week is to just take whatever that word or phrase is that spoke to you, and as you visualize what it is that you want to create and that you want to prepare, to let yourself just take the next step. Not figuring out the grand master, every single place imperfect before we can move, but just take the next step. However messy and however foreign it might feel, let that next step be your preparation, your guidepost with you this week. Thank you. See you guys next week.